This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google IvyPanda Free Essays.
In a research study, researchers must use different types of search methods. In most cases, the nature of variables and the need for the investigation play a vital role in influencing the criteria for exploration. There are various approaches scientists can apply to analyze and examine the population sample. Each procedure presents its importance. Thus, investigators evaluate the one that fits the objectives of the examination. The analysis focuses on exploring the variation between quasi and accurate experiments in the context of the research study. Understanding quasi-experiments and true experiments. Generally, a quasi-experiment is a search study where researchers perform experimental research without randomly assigning the controls to the sampled population. The term quasi means resemble. Therefore, in this investigation, investigators manipulate the independent variables while the participants are not arbitrarily given conditions. On the other hand, the true experiment is a type of study whereby the scientists make possible efforts to impose border controls on the sample population apart from the variable being studied. In most cases, accurate experimental studies are conducted in laboratories where researchers can enact control. Case study. The researcher conducted a study to determine and evaluate a new technique for teaching calculus to 12th graders. An investigator has two different classes to use for experimenting. In this case, the analyst would search using one class of 12th graders as a treatment group and another category of 12th graders as a control population sample. In this approach, the researcher does not randomly assign the learners to the respective classes, making the study a non-equivalent group design. This aspect implies that there is a high likelihood of significant differences among the students. For instance, some learners may have external influences such as parent motivation, thus excelling in calculus, or some students were allocated to a given class for disciplinary reasons. If the investigation findings indicate variation in calculus knowledge between the two classes, teaching methods or other variables may have caused the discrepancy. In this research experiment, the random assignment does not entirely eliminate the possibility of difference between the study groups but reduces it. Based on the hypothetical case study above, quasi-experimental research is appropriate because it provides higher internal validity. Similarly, randomizing the students would not be easier, thus, applying the technique is effective for the search study. In addition, it is difficult to impose order control amongst the group since the students can interact and share calculus knowledge. When the groups are categorized differently, it is easier for the researcher to explore the results of both classes and compare the outcomes. In the end, the experimental investigation, the investigated class, and the control group are compared to effectively evaluate the difference between the two classes. This will allow the investigator to have deep insight into the causes of variation, thus prompting the development of the best approach to teaching calculus. Converting quasi-experiments and true experiments. In summary, for the study to be converted into a true experiment, the researcher should formulate a way of grouping the students through randomization and also imposing a control group. Proper manipulation is necessary to understand the correlation between the variables. The control 12th graders are supposed not to receive any treatment to enable the investigator to identify the correct method of teaching calculus. If you want to find more works like this essay on quasi-experiments and true experiments, head over to ivypanda.com. It has a collection of free samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects. No registration required to access it.